Previously in the world of Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, a young British man called Jojo fights his adopted brother Dio after he turns into a vampire. We then follow Jojo's grandson, his grandson's grandson, the first grandson's estranged child, and we even take a very important detour through Italy. But even after all those generations and having defeated Dio twice, the Joestar bloodline is still cursed by the tragedy that comes from Dio Brando. This, my friends, is the story of the only ever female Jojo and how that curse is finally lifted. This is Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, Stone Ocean. Before we begin, let me say thank you so much for being here. As always, if you're getting caught up with JoJo's now that we're in Steel Ball Run season, kinda, all the links for all the parts will be in the description down below. With nothing else to say, please consider liking the video and subscribing to keep the channel growing, and let's recap JoJo's Part 6. The year is 2011, and our protagonist, Jolyne Cujo, is being detained in a facility in Florida. It turns out that a couple of weeks ago, Jolyne and her boyfriend ran someone over, and because her boyfriend was too scared to call the cops, they hid the corpse, resulting in Jolyne being arrested. This, of course, is not an ideal situation, but it turns out even worse when Jolyne gets caught gooning in her cell. Jolyne is later transferred to a famous prison, and along the way, she even makes a friend named Hermes Costello. Once at the prison, Jolyne meets with her lawyer, who gives her some items sent by her parents, including a pendant containing a fragment of the stand arrow. She accidentally pricks her finger with it and then tosses it away in anger, as the pendant came from her father, who is none other than Big Titty Boy Jotaro Cujo. After this, obviously, Jolyne gets a stand called Stone Free that lets her unravel her body like a string. With her stand, Jolyne asserts dominance amongst the other prisoners by beating up her cellmate and starts working out a way to get out of jail. Sometime later, Big Daddy Jotaro comes to visit Jolyne despite her not wanting to see him, as he was absent during her whole youth. Once she's there, a mysterious kid called Emporio tells her that this is all a trap, but regardless of this, she is forced to see Jotaro. Jotaro explains that Jolyne was in fact framed by a dude who followed Dio in the past and used her as bait to get to Jotaro. Unfortunately, Jotaro took the bait, and even though they tried to escape, our JoJos are attacked by two different stand users, resulting in Jotaro losing his stand and his memories in form of discs. Jotaro goes into a coma, but before that he tells Jolyne that he has always loved her, even if he was too busy having sex with dolphins when she was a kid. Because of this, Jolyne locks in, defeats one of the stand users, escapes to a beach to deliver Jotaro to the Speedwagon Foundation, and then resolves to get her father's discs at all costs. At the same time this was happening, Hermes had a fever and was submitted to the infirmary. Once she heals, she discovers that she has awakened a stand power that lets her duplicate items when she puts stickers on them. She fights and beats a dude and then is approached by Emporio, who brings her to a secret room. In this room we meet two more companions for this adventure, Weather Report and Anasui. Emporio explains that the disc stand is called Whitesnake and their main enemy is the user, who they must find at all costs to save Jotaro. After this, Jolyne and Hermes team up on a search party in the swamp, in which they find a barn full of discs, including the disc for Star Platinum. However, the barn is guarded by a plankton colony called Foo Fighters. They fight the things for a bit before discovering that plankton are water dependent and that they were forced to work for Whitesnake's user. So Jolyne spares it and the plankton takes over the body of another prisoner to unlock our new girlie, FF. Soon after this, the user of Whitesnake is revealed to the audience, letting us know that the final enemy is the prison's priest, Enrico Pucci. In his youth, Pucci was actually a friend of Dio, or maybe even more than a friend, which made him frame Jolyne to seek revenge. But now, with Jolyne trying to find the discs, his mission is to eliminate her before she foils his evil plans. Back with Jolyne, we see her call the Speedwagon Foundation to plan the extraction of Star Platinum's disc, which will take place at the prison courtyard. To get there, Jolyne gets help from Weather Report, who can manipulate weather, obviously, but on their way they are attacked by this guy who can cancel gravity. Luckily, Weather Report can create these sick-ass astronaut suits and they defeat the stand user. After the fight, Weather Report is hurt, so Jolyne carries on to the courtyard by herself. But before she can get there, she comes face to face with Enrico Pucci. Luckily, Pucci can't give his identity away yet, so he lets her through, only to have her shot down by a guard he brainwashed with Whitesnake's powers. Jolyne loses the disc, and for a second there it looks like it's all over for her, but at the last second, Weather Report manages to make it rain poisonous frogs that keep Pucci away and give Jolyne the chance to give the disc to a pigeon sent by the Speedwagon Foundation, meaning that the mission was a success and Jotaro's life is almost safe. After this happens, Jolyne is thrown in the maximum security unit for causing so much trouble, and Pucci will take advantage of her isolation to finally kill her. To do this, Pucci gives a prisoner a stand that Dio himself said would be the weakest stand of all, Survivor, which basically has the power of making people angry. This results in the guards and prisoners fighting each other to the death, including Jolyne and the main guard who can summon small meteors, but Jolyne outsmarts Bro and makes him kick his own face to death. While all of this is happening, Foo Fighters asks Anasui for help to break into the maximum security unit to help out her homegirl, and Bro accepts immediately as he is a massive simp who wants to marry Jolyne because she is a Warland subscriber. They manage to break in and meet Jolyne just after she was done beating the guard, and they help her fight an old dude with a really confusing dragon stand. Something I hadn't mentioned yet is that Jolyne's mission at this place was to obtain one of Dio's bones, which was being kept by one of the prisoners. You may be wondering why the helly are we even chasing down Dio's bones at a Florida prison, so to answer that I'll give you some context behind our main antagonist, Enrico Pucci. Enrico Pucci was a wealthy southern kid from a family of Italian descent. He lived with his parents and his sister Perla and had a twin brother who died shortly after birth. He also had a disfigured left foot, but that didn't stop him from walking normally and pursuing his career as a priest. One day while sweeping the church, he stumbled upon Dio, who fixed his foot and left him a piece of the stand arrow, making Pucci fall in love with Bro immediately. A couple of years later, a woman came into his confessional booth to tell him that she had swapped her baby with one from a wealthy family the same day that Pucci was born. Pucci, who isn't stupid, realized this woman's son was actually his twin brother who had been taken away. As he went to investigate, the twin brother turns out to be none other than Weather Report. And to make matters even worse, Bro was dating Pucci's baby sister without knowing she was her own sister. This obviously makes Pucci crash out and hire a PI team to separate them, but what Pucci didn't know is that the investigators are also white supremacists from the KKK who kill her sister and hang Weather Report. Absolute depression. After this, Pucci wipes Weather Report's memories and has him sent to prison, and he spends the rest of that year lying in bed with Dio.
I'm not gay.
From Dio, Pucci learned about the ingredients needed to make a perfect world, which then made Pucci turn his life mission to reach this promised land no matter what. On one of those steamy nights with Dio, Pucci also received a foot bone from him in case they never saw each other again, which is the main tool that Pucci has been using to achieve his goals. And after his time with Dio, Pucci has lived his days working in the prison as their priest and carrying out his plan to reach heaven. This brings us to the prison, where Jolyne pins down the prisoner with Dio's foot bone, but unfortunately the prison turns into a plant as well as every other prisoner at the ward, and the bone fuses with the plants to develop an embryo with the Joestar birthmark. Jolyne, Anasui, and Foo Fighters escape the ward with the embryo, but before they can get away, the embryo is swallowed by an automatic stand called Foo Fighters goes back to the ward to kill its user, while this goofy-ass stand tags along while they escape through the swamp. In the process of killing the stand user, FF discovers that Pucci is Whitesnake's user. Foo Fighters has now become fond of the human experience and their time with Jolyne, so they resolve to fight Pucci to save Jolyne. But unfortunately, Foo Fighters is fatally wounded. At the same time this is happening, Jolyne and Anasui defeat the stand, but not before the embryo can develop from his remains, thus giving birth to a green baby. They chase the baby only to realize that they shrink down the closer they get to it, but luckily the baby then sees that Jolyne has the same Joestar birthmark and lives his stand powers. Back with Foo Fighters, they contact Weather Report through the radio and they meet up with Jolyne and Anasui, only to reveal that Weather Report was actually Whitesnake in disguise. Pucci reveals himself and goes after the baby, but Jolyne cuffs herself to him to fight. Turns out that Pucci is a dirty bastard and he throws Jotaro's memory disk into the wounded Anasui, telling Jolyne that the disk will disappear forever if she doesn't let him go. Jolyne breaks under the pressure of the threat and retrieves the disk, which allows Pucci to run to the baby and fuse with it. Unfortunately, Jolyne is unable to save Anasui by herself, but in this moment FF locks in for the last time and sacrifices the remaining plankton to heal Anasui, which kills Foo Fighters.
Why you try not to lie, but
Goodbye, Foo Fighters. Rest in power, Queen. After this, Pucci discovers Dio's entire plan to reach heaven, and he leaves the prison to head to Cape Canaveral. And now that she has Jotaro's disc and has to hunt Pucci down, it is finally time for Jolyne to escape the prison as well. To do this, she must defeat the final guard, who is this lady called Mew Mew, whose stand makes people unable to remember more than 3 pieces of information. Jolyne struggles quite a bit under this stand because she keeps forgetting every third thing that she learns, but she is finally able to defeat her after receiving a binary picture of her. And thus, she manages to escape the prison with Emporio and Hermes. 3 days later, Weather Report also gets a mysterious Joestar birthmark, and he escapes the prison with Anasui as well. Following this, Pucci gets 3 more allies that fall from the sky: Ungalo, Rikiel, and Versus, who are children of Dio and thus making them half-siblings of our boy Giorno Giovanna. It looks like Dio was taking lessons from Elon Musk on how to leave kids behind. Weather Report and Anasui face against Ungalo, who has the power to attack with fairy tale characters like Pinocchio or Vincent Van Gogh, but luckily Weather beats him by writing a story about a hero who can eliminate all fantasy heroes, making Ungalo go into a coma. Simultaneously, Jolyne makes it to his ex-boyfriend's house seeking revenge, and Bro breaks down in tears asking Jolyne for forgiveness. He gives Jolyne the keys to a helicopter, and Jolyne kinda forgives him, but she still cuts off his tongue for being a rat bastard. After this, Jolyne, Hermes, and Emporio face Rikiel, who is always sick and is a very awkward individual. He has the power to control rots, which are some kind of fish species that suck off body heat, but Jolyne easily beats Bro by setting herself on fire to overwhelm the rots. Finally, once they make it to the hospital where Pucci is, they face Versus, who has the power to replay memories of the ground. As you can tell by now, Araki was going fully bizarre with the stance for this part. Versus' stand lets him trap Jolyne and Hermes in a plane crash from years ago and test them by asking them to either save themselves or some random kids. Our girls, being the goats that they are, save the kids and make Versus change his mind about the world. He then uses his stand to flee the hospital and give Weather Report his disc back, which makes Pucci shit himself as he has now awakened a terrible calamity. When Weather finally recovers his memories, he turns back into Wes Blue Marine, which is his actual name, and he reawakens his rage against Pucci. Weather Report then unlocks a new phenomenon called heavy weather, which turns people into snails with refracted sunlight. As he does this, he is found by Pucci, who fights him to the death until they are both run over by Versus, who was driving Jolyne and Hermes to help Weather. This unfortunately allows Pucci to escape and Wes Blue Marine to die. Goodbye, Weather Report. Rest in power, King. Jolyne obtains Weather Report's stand disc and gives it to Emporio just in case, as they will now reach Cape Canaveral to face Pucci for the last time. Once at the right location, Pucci evolves his stand from White Snake into Sea Moon, which has the power to turn objects on themselves. This makes gravity around the cape shift and makes objects fall away from it. But despite of this, our heroes manage to make it to the Space Center and fight Sea Moon. Unfortunately, Hermes is pushed away by the gravity and Jolyne is hit by the stand, making her turn on herself and killing her. Once Jolyne is dead, Pucci proceeds to target Anasui and Emporio, but suddenly he is attacked by Jolyne, who survives Sea Moon's attack by using a Mobius strip to turn his string into infinity. And some moments later, time is stopped by none other than Big Daddy Jotaro, who arrives at the Space Center with Hermes to fight Pucci. Now cornered by all our heroes, Pucci realizes that this is his last chance to complete his plan. Pucci then shifts gravity a bit more to finally evolve his stand once again from Sea Moon into Made in Heaven, which knocks everyone down and starts speeding up time aggressively. Once they finally wake up, the gang resolves to fight Pucci's stand, which is now moving at a ridiculously fast pace. Because of this, the party flees into the ocean, but they are unsuccessful as Pucci easily kills Jotaro, Hermes, Anasui, and even Jolyne. With her last bit of strength, Jolyne sacrifices himself to tie Emporio to a dolphin that swims away from Pucci. Regardless of this, time is now moving so fast that the universe is split into a vortex, destroying the world as we know it. Emporio suddenly wakes up back in the prison with Pucci right in front of him. Pucci rejoices as he has successfully reset the universe to rid it of its imperfection. But Emporio has one final moment of bravery as he uses Weather Report's stand to concentrate oxygen into the room and poison Pucci, who was not only responsible for killing his friends, but also his mother. Just like that, Pucci riots in pain and anger as he dies.
One eternity later.
Emporio finds himself outside the prison and he runs into a reincarnated version of Jolyne called Irene, who is driving up to see her dad with her friend Anarchus. Irene asks the boy what his name is, to which he is only able to say, He then gets in the car with them and drive off into the horizon as the curse from Dio has been finally lifted from the Joestar bloodline. The end. That, my friends, was the very emotional story of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean. We are finally done recapping JoJo's parts 1 through 6, which makes me very happy despite all of this situation that is going on with Netflix and Steel Ball Run. I'm very excited to keep bringing you new fun videos, so as always, please consider liking and subscribing to keep the channel growing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Goodbye, Jojo!